morning, everyone. It's time to go on the record.
If our Secretary of State can be bought or bribed or sold, look.
Donald Trump accuses Hillary Clinton of pay to play. The former Secretary of State denies it, and so does her husband.
We're trying to do good things. If there's something wrong with creating jobs and saving lives, I don't know what it is.
And will the Clinton Foundation haunt her through November?
I have no knowledge of what she's referring to. No, I've never, to answer your question, no, I've never touched her around her waist.
Scott Brown swept into the Fox News Roger Ailes sex scandal. Is this fair to the former U.S. Senator?
The issue's not going away. I can tell you that.
Congressman Bill Keating is here this morning, still fighting to get gun control reform. Will anything be accomplished in the next Congress in the next month? And
it's almost Labor Day. Do you know where your presidential vote is going?
From WCVB Boston, the inside word from Washington to Beacon Hill, today's newsmakers are going on the record.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to OTR. Along with Maria Stefanos, I'm Ed Harding. Thank you for joining us on this Sunday as we head final stretches of summer and head toward fall. Our guest this morning is the 9th District Congressman Bill Keating. The South Shore Democrat was first elected to Congress in 2010. He sits on the House Homeland Security Committee. Great to see you, sir, and happy Labor Day. Happy end of summer day.
It's great to be here as the summer winds down.
As the summer winds down. You have your summer tan going here, too, I can see.
Well, it's hard on Cape Cod to avoid it.
Yes, for sure. So, yes, we're winding down, but you're about to go back to work.
Yes.
And that is after Labor Day. There's a lot of unfinished business in Congress, a lot. No gun control legislation, supplemental budget, and desperate need for Zika funding. What is going on with that? Why can't that get done?
Well, we had some version in the House that advanced, yet wasn't enough money to really deal with it. In the Senate, it stalled. What I think will happen, and I think I'm always the glass half full kind of person, I think because of political pressure in Florida in particular, that you might see final action on this. But, you know, we've wasted too much time. We never should have left there without fully funding Zika. There's 2,200 cases in the U.S. People don't realize how much of this. And there's, I think, 512 as of the last week or so of pregnant women where their laboratory tests are showing that there's a Zika virus presence. And even in Massachusetts, I think there's about 59 as of the last week or two. Now, all of those in Massachusetts came from traveling, so none from the mosquito transfer. But in Florida, you're starting to see the mosquito transfer, and I think because of the races there, and this is terrible to be talking about something as important as this.
But politics is involved now. It's political.
It should never, on these issues, it drives me crazy, and I've been there a few years now. It just absolutely drives me crazy. These issues aren't partisan issues. They're not political issues. They're basic health issues, and I just am infuriated not having dealt with that now, because you could deal with it in so many levels, but women that are pregnant, who are having young babies, and you know, with all the challenges they're going to face because of this virus, and if you really want to be crude about it and just put it in dollars and cents, it's foolish economically too. They're on the verge of a vaccine now. This is something that can be dealt with, and taking money from Ebola wasn't a good idea either, because we had hearings in the Foreign Affairs Committee saying, do not take any money out of the Ebola funding right now, even though, because it can come right back at you.
Well, I just don't want to focus on Florida, because obviously there will be concerns in Louisiana with the standing water. There are concerns in the state of Texas. So anything along the southern ports of the United States. But on the point of Florida, they had a record 105 million visitors. And so is Congress prepared to, you know, let's the human impact is important. Is Congress prepared to deal with the economic impact as well?
I think they bury their heads in the sand with some of these issues. I could go time and time again about issues where the infrastructure is a great issue. Where you don't deal with it, you're going to pay more later. We're going to go back probably and not have a budget, even though Paul Ryan said that would occur, and have continuing resolutions, which by their nature are inefficient. And there's waste in dealing with government this way, and it's shutting government down.
Let me talk about that right now, because when you come back in September, you have what, about 4 weeks to cut a deal? Are you confident? Not confident?
I think we'll deal with congressional resolutions going forward from a budget standpoint.
Continuing resolutions?
But I do think in Zika, because of the politics that surround it, and I hate to put it in that level, but the politics that surround it are going to catapult that into action finally.
A quick fix or longer-term spending deal? Do you think and I'm talking just in terms of the cost to the government, make sure the government keeps rolling.
That's what it would be. It'll be a quick fix. You know, don't forget, John Boehner did an enormous thing to help, alleviate a major crisis. Going back, they did something that hasn't been done in a century. They put a motion to vacate the chair, vacate the speakership. That hadn't been done in our history in 100 years. They waited till the fall, this is my view of it, so it would coincide with another government shutdown. And they were using an issue like Planned Parenthood funding to try and use that as a weapon. The Pope came. John Boehner, left, but he kept about 30 days or so where he said he'd stay on. And this shows you how government can work. He went to the president, he went to the minority leader in the House, and he said, you've got 30 days to work with me. And I have enough of my people with enough of your people to get something done. And he staved off the closing of the government. We have a budget agreement in terms of the proportion going into next spring. And so it shows you that we can still do things if we work together.
And under the umbrella of all of this is the race for president. You obviously support Hillary Clinton for president. Interesting, though, and I want you to react to this. The Associated Press found that more than half the people outside of the government who met Hillary Clinton while she was Secretary of State gave money to the Clinton Foundation. Does that smell right to you?
Well, number one, that's half of what the AP did. She obviously met more than 150 or so people during that period.
But does that smell right to you?
Well, this is my view of the Clinton Foundation, just from my own firsthand involvement with it, in foreign affairs in particular. I saw time and time again where we worked with those same issues. So it was a government partnership with foundations. Bill Gates, in his work, he would meet with us in foreign affairs and talk about how he would leverage this. So there's obviously in these huge foundations the ability to do it. No one's contesting the foundation itself because, number one, half the people getting AIDS treatment in the world are getting treated there.
Congressman, the issue is pay to play.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not the work of the foundation. The work of the foundation is laudable. It's extraordinary.
Yeah,
it's the access.
It's the access.
Yeah. That's the issue that the journalists
It's the perception.
Some of the things, and again, I'm just sifting through it the way most people are too, but some of the things, for instance, the Crown Prince of Bahrain, Crown Prince Salman, he's going to have access to the Secretary of State anyways. They're a strategic defense partner fighting ISIS. I was there in Bahrain meeting with him, and they're right off their shores. They have the Fifth Fleet there, and the Harry S. Truman that are doing all the bombings, or a significant amount of the bombings on ISIS targets and everything. So some of the people would have access anyways. They never found one quid pro quo, not one conflict. However, I'll say this for journalists. I think when you look at these other countries that I've traveled in, what sets us apart, makes us stronger, is that we have, journalistic probes into things. That's healthy in a country, even though it's tough on
So to answer Maria's question to you, it does pass the smell test. It doesn't.
So far, there's been no conflicts. However, I'll tell you, we're heading into a new situation.
I want to ask you about the EpiPen price.
Sure.
And I have a friend. I won't reveal it, but he showed me he has to carry an EpiPen. He showed me his last bill. The EpiPen for the 2 shots was $950. Thanks to insurance, he didn't have to pay $950. So it went from $95 to $600, but we do, right? In a matter of 8 years. Meanwhile, the CEO's salary jumps from $3 million to $20 million. How should Congress respond?
Well, one thing we can do, I think, is look at the competitors. One thing that happened there, I believe, is one of the competitors had difficulty with the FDA, and that left them alone in this playing field.
About 85% of the field.
And so one thing we can do in these kind of instances, I think, is really try and fast track competitors. I mean, you're looking at what you have control with our constitutional rights and rights for people to make money and have businesses. That's one thing we can do in this instance. If someone's alone in the playing field and there are potential competitors that will drive the price down, we should move and look at those issues singularly and say, look, in these kind of instances, let's try and speed this along.
Are you ready for the OTR Pop Quiz?
Never.
Oh, come on now.
Never. I've never been ready. There's always one
confident.
question.
Straight in the eyes, I'm going to nail it.
Can I have one? Do you stay up at night thinking these yourself?
I don't stay up at night for anything, except my dog when she says let's go. All right. Question 1. Governor Baker toured what Bay State community hit by an EF1 tornado this past week? Governor Baker and Lieutenant Governor was there as well.
I don't.
Bay State community hit by an
Leominster?
Concord.
Concord. Well,
Question 2.
that is a Bay State community.
What state
right?
Bay State community has dropped its lawsuit against Steve Wynn's Everett Casino?
Boston.
Somerville.
Somerville.
So you're
0 for
close,
2.
but you're 0 for 2. But you have a chance to rebound, which will go after the break. Stay with us.